that's also really hard as a flutist because we have a lot of our sound literally reverberating in our bodies in a different way than it projects out into the hall. So it's really, really hard to tell what you objectively sound like. That's why I record myself a lot. And actually, if possible, I try to record myself with this, like, I think, like, 50 buck microphone that I have sitting back here somewhere. Because, it's like if you look in a mirror at a fun house, you can't really learn how to, like, fix your appearance if there's something wrong with it. Like if you look at your nose in a funhouse mirror, it's going to appear very distorted. And the same thing happens when it's a bad recording device. If you're recording yourself on a bad recording device, you're going to get a lot of ideas about your playing that aren't quite accurate. But if you have a higher quality recording device, then you're kind of more genuinely hearing, what do I actually sound like to other people? And how can I modify what I'm doing to create something a little bit more cohesive? Yeah.
Yeah, it can change so much based on your recording setup, and it can change based on what room you're in, obviously. And one thing that I like since coming to my master's program is the practice rooms are just nicer than the ones in New York. So in New York, it was very flat. I always felt like it sounded bad because the sound just died in the room. But here, I will go in the more acoustic practice rooms just for it makes it more fun to play. And then even practicing now, like I will practice in the bathroom or something like that. That's just like super echoey. If I'm just like, this isn't fun and it's flat in my apartment.
Yeah. Can I say space does have a lot to do with it? I remember I was once taking a lesson, and this was very random, with this lady who used to be principal flute of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, Emily Scotta. And the first thing that she did when she came into the room that the lesson was in was she rearranged the furniture. And originally I didn't quite understand, but she said, look, the energy of the space is going to dictate the energy of how you practice. That's why at CMU, there are two buildings with practice rooms. One, it's kind of small. It feels very condensed. Every room has a big piano in it. So you're like kind of like in this like little shoebox of area.
Hmm.
And then the other, there are only like 3 or 4 practice rooms in there, but they're big classrooms. There's nice open space to be in. They have full windows, and the view, it's out looking on Shenley Park. And I noticed that when I'm in one of those classrooms, I always feel kind of much more inspired.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm able to focus more on what I'm actually doing.
Wait, how
So
did she
I do
rearrange the
this. Yeah.
furniture?
Rearrange the furniture. If I remember, she thought that there were like too many chairs in there, or too many stands. I think that she moved some stuff into the hallway because she was like, this space is not conducive to what I'm trying to do. I think that she was kind of like a bit mystical. I don't know. There's some interesting things about her background, but she has a really beautiful recording, I think, of Schubert variations. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. If you walk into your practice room and it just is depressing and there's no window, there's no point making it feel like you're in jail when you're trying to get creative
Oh,
work done. And it
yeah.
makes me think about other things we could be doing as musicians to manage our attitude and our mood. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, what are some things that you do to keep the hard parts of practicing more tolerable, just day to day?
Huh. I mean, a lot of people kind of talk about this thing. I think that definitely with like our generation, it's caught on, kind of like soft launching a practice session. Like you turn on a
Mm.
YouTube video and then start doing your warm ups. And
Okay.
then suddenly, by the time that you're done with your warm ups and you're on to solo repertoire, you're like, oh, like I'm ready to like do this and be fully present with this. I find another thing that really helps keeping me grounded is if there's like a piano part on YouTube to one of the pieces that I'm playing, going through with that feels like a very different experience. It's way more motivating because, can I say, playing something, most of what we play as flutists is not true solo repertoire. Most of it's either with the piano or with a full orchestra and we're the soloist, or if it's excerpts, it's us as a member of the section. We're missing so much context with every single piece of repertoire that we play, basically. So I find that, getting into that other half or that other piece of it really grounds me and helps me stay present in my practicing. Another thing is recording myself. I find that that's another thing because it's almost kind of like a little dopamine hit when you, record yourself and then press play, even if you don't love how you sound, because you can make very tangible improvements very quickly. you can kind of hear things that, it's harder to hear when it's just like resonating in your head.
Yeah.
And then if you do something really lovely and you didn't realize that, it was that nice in the moment, you're like, oh, wow, that's something musical I did. And, I'll mark it in to make sure that I keep it because I liked it or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people don't think of recording themselves as a dopamine hit. It's more like a slap in the face.
No, I don't know. I guess the thing about it is, even if it's not great, I know that it's a tool that's going to help me get better. And if it is something that I'm really proud and really happy with, I can say, yeah, this is the kind of player I am, where, my whatever aspect I'm happy with, whether it's like, oh, I think that this is very technically secure, or I really like my sound on XY notes. It's kind of just something positive that I can ground myself in.
Thank you for watching The Practice Room. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, contact me on Instagram or my website if you would like to be a guest or would like to suggest a guest. Links in the description. Thank you.